Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 6. It's been a minute, y'all, since I've been doing this podcast, and since I was able to do this podcast episode. But, I've been dropping videos. If you've been going to the channel, just keep checking the videos out. But, yeah, I'm back with this episode here. It's not going to be a real long episode, but I just want to go back and talk about, some of the big things that's been going on, Well, first off, talking about the major one here, I got the picture up right here, man. Dana White, like I said, he kept swearing up and down that this fight was going to go down. This card was going to happen on April 18th, but he wanted to make it look like he was the more powerful guy in this situation. But that bigger power came striking down, man. I'm talking about that powerful glove. That one more powerful than the UFC glove. I'm talking about that Mickey Mouse glove, boy. That Mickey Mouse glove, it laid the law down, man, because Dana, he did his recent interview a few days ago on ESPN, and he said that first he got the call from the higher power at ESPN, for the card not to take place, and then he got that big call from Disney, that big call from Disney, who owns ESPN. They said, "Hey, stand down." Those were the words he used, "stand down." So that's how serious it is, man. That's how serious it was, that call. And my thoughts on that, first of all, I just got to say, Dana White, he had to be real about this, man, because right now, the world is in a different place. I talked about this in a previous video. I felt like, a lot of people still have that illusion like everything is cool, because you can't see what's going on. The threat is invisible. You can see it in people whenever this virus takes over people in the death count, but people still want to feel like, hey, this world's going on. I see so-and-so out here doing what they want to do, so let me do it. But, it's not that way right now. Everybody just has to follow suit, and that includes Dana White. It just goes to show you that Dana White is not invincible. There's always a higher power that somebody answers to, even if it is another person on this earth right now. There's of course a higher power, but I'm just saying, like, Dana, he's not the highest power calling the shots, And if he was, he could have just had the card take place on April 18th at any venue. He could have just said, hey, Barclays Center, we're doing it here. I don't care what you say. But, he still had to go back and make some other choices, And his major thing that a lot of people, they had their radars up about this situation was that, okay, Dana, he's got like 4 or 5 locations. Okay, now he has one, narrowed down. And it was a tribal land out in California. What's it called? I think Tashi Palace. It's like an Indian reservation type of land. And there's some like casino resorts out there, whatever. And that's where he planned on having the fight. But like I said, he got the call from Disney, said, no, stand down. And, he had to follow suit with that. And he continued to talk about everything on the interview, saying that it can still happen. I'm still ready to go. It's like, I can still make this happen. But it's like, no, you can't. At this point, you might as well just, bite down. You might as well just bite the bullet and say, hey, it's not happening. I can't put these fighters, in the ring, in the octagon coming April 18th. We're not going to do it. Might as well just say it, just say it. We know it's ESPN and Disney called the shot, but Dana, you might as well just, say it yourself. I can't do it, but you keep saying, oh, I can. Well, Disney's not going to call you back and tell you you're going to do this April 18th. That's how I see it, and to me, that's the best choice. Like, when I heard this, I was kind of relieved, not necessarily happy, because I love combat sports. I love watching MMA, whether it is Bellator, UFC, or Invicta. I love watching these fights, but at the same time, I know everything ain't, everything going on right now is different, whether it be boxing or basketball, all these other sports have, come to a pause right now. And I feel like Dana White, he was kind of more so getting on my nerves as far as, trying to make it seem like he was invincible, like his roster of fighters were invincible. And, speaking of the fighters, there was a lot of fighters, even on the card, and a lot of people willing to step in saying, oh, okay, the card's still going on. Y'all are haters, but I'm like, I'm not hating. I'm just caring about the fighters' health at this point. I'm caring about the fighters' welfare. I'm like, I don't want to see them broke, but at the same time, I don't want to see them get sick. I don't want to see them put their lives on the line for, just a fight, or just for my entertainment. I want to see them be able to do something. I want to see them be able to do something else outside of the octagon, in the meantime. But I don't want to see these guys go in there and risk their lives, whenever situations are bad, and speaking of, people dying from this COVID-19, Rose Namajunas, she had to pull out of this card when it was still, about to go down. She had to pull out due to deaths in her family. And like I was told on my previous video, somebody filled me in and said it was her grandparents that had passed from COVID-19. I'm like, right there, man, that's evidence that, this thing hits home. It hits right next door. I know some people, right around the way that they lost 20 somethings. They lost people around their age. They lost friends in that age group. So it's something we can't ignore. And I think Dana White was really in that situation where he wanted to feel the power. He was like, I want to do something nobody else is doing. It's not even necessarily like you want to call that a hero. I think a lot of people who just wanted to see fights, they were out to say, oh, Dana's a hero. But it doesn't have nothing to do with being a hero in this situation. It has something to do with him trying to set the bar and trying to break some type of record, like, oh, I did this whenever this was going down. And it's not really a smart move in any way. You know what I mean? It all just comes down to dollars, and he wanted to do that. But when a powerful company like Disney responds and says, no, you're not going to do it, that should tell you something. That it's not all about money. It's all about complying and power. Because if Disney wanted to, they could have said, okay, you could do this, Dana. Go ahead and do it. Because we want the money too. But it all came down to power in this situation. They felt like Dana was kind of out of line, I think. They felt like Dana was out of line, trying to make it look like he calls the shots. But they said, no, what we're going to do is we're going to show you who the real power is, and we want you to stand down. That's what it all came down to. But to me, man, I'm glad that it's, like I said, I'm glad that the card is not happening, not for the reason of Dana White or like, wanting to see these fighters go broke or anything like that. No, it's just for the safety of the fighters. It's for the safety of, the fight doctors, the commentators, the referee, everybody who comes to do a job that night in that venue. I don't want to see anybody risk getting sick, because who's to say that these tests are really 100%, I know at my job we get temperature screened every day, but our temperature might not tell us, hey, that we have the virus or not. I've heard other people say that they had other symptoms before they had it. Some of these people that died, they'd had other symptoms that you couldn't even read before they realized that they did have it. So just so much going on with it where I feel like this is happening for the best, and Dana might as well just say, hey, it's it is what it is. Don't keep saying I can make this happen on April 18th. I can make this happen on April 18th. Nah, man, you just go on and say, I lost this one, man. Just go ahead and say it's over. We're gonna shoot for August or whenever we can return, back to normal. But on the plus side, at least Dana has a setup for his next fight. If UFC 249 takes place, when things get back to normal, he can go off to that Tachi Palace and they can have, the next card there. But yeah, man, I mean, that's pretty much all I got on this topic. I mean, go back and look at the interview, the ESPN interview between Dana White. He looked a little bit upset, but it's like, it is what it is, man. I'm like, you keep saying that you can make this thing happen, but you don't really need to at this point, man. Don't even try to push it. Just say we're going to wait it out. We're going to wait out till August or September or whatever to bring this thing back. Because, again, man, I'm a boxing fan and MMA fan, but I don't want to see anybody risking their health, whether it's, going out here to have full contact sparring and, training with people that, could carry the virus, just to get ready for this thing. But, it is what it is. But Dana, he talked about, what did he talk about? Something else that good came out of it. I mean, Fight Island, this so-called Fight Island that he said could be ready to go in like a month. I was like, damn, okay, like Fight Island, how long you been working on this thing, man? Because he said it was ready to go for like a month. It can be ready to go in like a month, as far as having a arena to fight in and having some training facilities for the fighters. So when they get flown there, they can train there. So this must have been something he just been kind of working on on the low, or he could have just been, bluffing a little bit, trying to say, oh, I can make something go down even if we don't, get back to normal. This is something I can turn to. But it's something that I'm not sure if I'm really like a big fan of. I mean, I kind of am, but at the same time, I feel like going to this island at some point. I just keep envisioning, like, if you ever seen The Walking Dead, like we got to this certain point where like the governor had them fighting, zombies or something. You know what I mean? Like, of course it wouldn't be zombies, but it'd be like just having infected people or just having people go to this island to kind of do whatever and just fight it out. That's the vibe I keep getting. Like, we'll get there in like another 20 years or something. But I just feel like Dana is just so power hungry right now and money driven that he's willing to do whatever it takes and push his roster to the full extent. And that's a dangerous thing, man. And, a lot of these fighters, they're not getting paid a lot. So a lot of them are going to just be down with it, and a lot of them are just so driven to fight that they're willing to do it anywhere. Sometimes that warrior in you can kind of get you killed. It can put you on the line for things you might not be ready for, but or you think you are ready for, but it's crazy right now. That's why I just say, all in all, man, it's a good thing that it's not going down. I'm relieved. I'm relieved that it's not going down because, again, no need to put these fighters at risk. And again, I want to send out my condolences to Rose Namajunas and her people, that she lost. Definitely to her and her family, because that's tough, man. I mean, she's been going through a lot right now, and now to lose two people because of this virus, it's going to be really hard to tell if she really wants to return to the octagon as soon as possible. She might want to take more time off. But yeah, man, let me see. In the comment section, let me know what y'all think about this situation. Like, did Dana really care about these fighters? Do you think he really cares about these fighters? Was this like a hero move for him, or do y'all feel like he just wanted to flex power? Let me know in the comment section. But let's jump on to this next topic. Let's see, man. This big topic right here too, man. I feel like this was something big, man. I just want to give a shout out to Anthony Smith, man, because a few days ago he was on Ariel Helwani's show, and he did an interview, and he was talking about how recently he had a break-in in his home. It was like, what was it, like on Sunday at like 4 a.m. His wife came into the room and told him that there was a man in the other room, and like the dude was making noise. So he had heard the dude yelling. So he went over there into that room, and he just said he saw like this dark silhouette there, like a shorter guy, not too big, but he could tell in like the stance he was in, like he was kind of flexing on him. And like Anthony Smith said he approached him, and the guy came a little bit closer. And, one thing led to another, and like they both got into like a little bit of a struggle. It was like maybe, like 5-10 minute struggle. And, Anthony Smith was able to take the guy down, but, it was kind of a struggle. Like he said, it was a bit of a struggle because the guy was pretty strong. And, I don't know what the guy was on, but he said like the guy was like throwing fits. He was kind of yelling and going through these different emotions all at once while he was there. And there was a knife involved. And, he's like, Anthony Smith said there was some blood on the wall. It was just a real fast-paced story. I was just taking all this in. It was like a 30-minute interview if y'all want to check it out on Ariel Helwani's show. But what I really want to just talk about is the fact that, Anthony Smith, I felt like, man, in this situation, he was in one of the hardest fights of his life. And, he really came through. He really proved to be, a true, a real true fighter to stand in there, help out, and protect his family and basically protect his neighborhood. Because before that, it was reported that this intruder had broken into somebody else's house and was in there making noise, and then he had left and then somehow slipped into their house, and I feel like, that's really something like scary. Sometimes I think about that type of stuff myself. I'm kind of a paranoid person, and, like home invasions can be real scary, because you're standing there, you have a stranger standing there in your house, and, you really have to be a quick thinker. That's why I give Anthony Smith a lot of credit, because he reacted in a way I don't think a lot of people would sometimes. Some people will run, some people will just panic or start begging for their life, and I feel like he handled it well. He thought of his family and not of his own self, and in the way he described it too, come on, this was like 4 a.m. He was able to get up and, jump into that mode. Like, I was actually looking at, like I said, I don't really watch Joe Rogan's podcast, but I was just looking at these recent interviews, just some, not interviews, but I was looking at some MMA news, and they was talking about what Joe Rogan had to say about Anthony Smith taking this guy down. And first thing Joe Rogan said, it kind of reminded me of like a troll that's watching like MMA fights. Like he said, why didn't Anthony Smith choke him out? Why didn't he just choke him out unconscious? But I'm like, come on, man, this ain't a fight. I mean, this is a fight for your life, but this ain't like your regularly scheduled fight that you train for, man. Like, this ain't something where you just go in there and just go and think with the same game plan like a real fight. Like, you don't know what the situation was as far as how he could get the guy down. You don't know how much room Anthony Smith had on the floor to actually put this guy in a chokehold. I mean, maybe it was possible, but you got to also think that Anthony Smith's mind frame wasn't, I'm fighting for a title right now. I'm fighting for my life. I'm fighting for my wife and kids' life. That's what's going through Anthony Smith's mind. So he's using what he has as far as, MMA training, but at the same time, he's also trying to scrap it out and fighting off of fear. He's also fighting off of fear and survival all at once. So it's kind of a different mind frame than going in there trained to fight fight against somebody like John Jones or DC. You're in there with some unknown stranger. You don't know what he's capable of. You don't know what kind of weapons he have on him, so, and first of all, you don't know why this guy is in your house. I don't care how big or how small he is, but you don't know why this guy's in your house and you've never seen him before. And remember, this is 4 a.m. Your wife is waking you up because somebody's yelling in your house. It ain't like your drunk brothers in the house or your drunk uncles in the house yelling. You know how to get up and reproach that. But no, you got somebody that you don't know in there making noise, and you see him standing there in the dark. Again, your mind frame is kind of going all over the place. So Anthony Smith did what he had to do to take the guy down, and he did a good job of it, So right there too, I kind of disagree, and I think that was kind of stupid of Joe Rogan to say, like, why didn't he just choke him out unconscious? I'm like, come on, man. Like, in this time, in a time like that, if you could just get the guy down and you can incapacitate him just long enough for the cops to get there, you did your job. And as long as you protected your family and you kept them from getting hurt, you came out okay, then you did your job as a father, and as a husband and a father, you did your job. So I thought that was just kind of crazy that Joe Rogan said that. But as for Anthony Smith, like I said, I give him a lot of credit too, because when he was telling this story, you could tell that he really felt he was a little bit shook. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a humbling thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like the guy's a fighter, but he's still a human. He was approached with a situation that he's never dealt with before, and he was just humble enough to tell you this story. Like, I'm not a superhero, I'm just a fighter. And once again, I had to fight, for my life, for my wife and my kids. And I like the way he told the story too, because, he just told the story like a real person that dealt with it for the first time. He didn't switch the story up and try to say, I beat this guy's ass, or this little 160 pounder, I choked his ass out, or he was easy work or something like that. No, he told you the real. He said this little 160-pound guy was kind of strong. Said when he got him down, he was like having a hard time fighting him down. He had him with one hand. I can't remember if he was holding the knife with the other, if Anthony Smith was holding the knife with the other or something like that. But he said the guy was actually kind of hard to get down because, again, the guy could have been on some type of drug. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Joe Rogan should have known before you run your mouth like that. Like, this guy could have been hopped up on something. And sometimes when you on that shit, that shit can have these people feeling like 10 times stronger than the biggest, strongest man, So Anthony Smith was probably doing everything he could to get this guy down. It probably wasn't going to be easy to just choke this guy out like that, And again, like I said, if you getting your arms around him, what if his arm is free and the guy reaches in his pocket and like pulls out a little pistol, little knife, and just stabbed Anthony Smith? So Anthony Smith, he was probably just trying to keep them hands where he could see him. He was trying to keep those hands where he could see him, so to make sure he didn't go for any type of weapon. So I give Anthony Smith a lot of credit, because the way he told that story, like I said, and home invasions and like people breaking into your home, those are things I'm always kind of paranoid of. And that's why I do believe in like keeping the concealed carry and keeping a weapon in your house. I believe in that, because you never know what's going to go down, and I want to be able to protect mine. And I feel like Anthony Smith, he did what he had to do, and he stayed in a cool, calm, collected mind frame, and he did what he had to do. So again, like I said, I don't even speak on it like a internet troll to say, oh, why didn't he just ground and pound, or why he choke him out, or why he stomp him. I felt like Anthony Smith handled it well, and he protected his family. That's what it all came down to. And the last part he said too, I felt like I have to give him a lot of credit for was he said, I'm glad that the guy broke into my house versus somebody else's house. I'm glad I was able to handle him, instead of anybody else. That says a lot about him. I guess he felt like he had the tools to be able to take care of this guy, and some of the other people didn't, because he felt like maybe they wouldn't have came out the same way. So yeah, man, that's all I got on this one, y'all. I just wanted to drop that, give you my thoughts on that. But on to the next topic. Again, shout out to Anthony Smith and Joe Rogan. Come on, man, you know better than that. So but when we get back to like August and September, I'm ready to see some good boxing matches, and I think we got some good ones coming up. But until then, Keith Thurman, he had talked to TMZ recently, and he spoke on his loss to Manny Pacquiao. He lost to Manny Pacquiao last July by a split decision, and he just went back and said he felt like he didn't lose to Manny. He felt like he did enough, and he thought the fight could have been a draw. And he said that he wants a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. But for me, my thoughts on that statement alone, I think that Keith Thurman, I won't say he needs to go back to the drawing board as like a fighter as far as like skill wise, but I think he needs to go back and find that flame again, man, because I always spoke high on Keith Thurman back, like even on the Jab podcast in the early episodes. I used to give him all the credit in the world, back in like 2015, 2016, even 2014. I used to tell people to look out for this guy, but since then, like his whole comfort level, his whole mind frame changed. His comfort level kind of went up. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with becoming comfortable if you're not hungry anymore. You just got to know when to step out of the game, because if you fight when you're comfortable, that's a dangerous thing. You're putting your life on the line every day. That's why I give Floyd so much credit, as far as what he does in the ring, because every fight, no matter the fight, no matter the level, he stays consistent. He's always coming to, put in the hard work, because he knows that it's going to pay off in the long run. And the hunger level never changes. He knows that he has this competitiveness in him that keeps that fire burning. The fire is always burning. So he knows that, hey, this is just another day for me. I know what I got to do. I got to step it up. I got to do this. I want to win. This is me. I am boxing. He comes in with that mind frame. Whereas Keith Thurman, he speaks a good game. He's a good talker. Even in the Manny fight, I went in feeling like the fight was 50-50, because I felt like he had what it take. I felt like he had what he needed to beat somebody like Manny Pacquiao on the real. I felt like the fight was 50-50. I thought this was going to be passing of the torch, but lo and behold, Manny just turned on them second nature skills. He just turned on the professor in him and schooled the student. You know what I mean? Like, he went back and forth with him. Manny ate some shots, had some rough rounds, but Manny said, yo, I'm still the teacher here. I'm not done yet. I'm still schooling. This is still my division. That was the result of that loss, that Keith Thurman lost. And now I feel like Keith Thurman, he just kind of has to go back and say, man, like, do I have that competitiveness in me to, beat the professor, the guy who owns the division, a 4-decade champion? Do I have what it takes to get back to that level? Because it's not going to be easy. Manny has so many tools in him, and so much experience in him. This not going to be easy, man. It can only, I think the beatings can only get worse from there if you're not ready. That last time out, Thurman got dropped. What did he get? Did Pacquiao drop him twice? Let me know in the comment section. I can't remember right off top, but I know he got dropped early on in that first part of the fight, and that was just kind of like a wake-up call. And then Thurman was more so fighting for his life, and then instead of, just fighting for a decision or fighting for dominance in that fight. That was in my eyes. But I think that if Keith Thurman wants this rematch, he's got to forget everything. He's got to forget everything, as far as what he's just kind of been doing the past few months, just kind of chilling out, and I understand he wanted to get married and kind of, fall into that chill life, but, this is boxing. When you come to box, people want to see you do what you do. They want to see you be that dog. They want to see you put on a boxing match. So, So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I don't think he is ready for a rematch with Manny. I think that he's got to go back to the drawing board and make some statement wins. And with that being said, I would like to see Keith Thurman return against Udeni Ugas. And if he can beat Ugas convincingly, then I'll say, okay, all right, take on Terrence Crawford next. You know, because Terrence Crawford and Keith Thurman, I think that would make for a great, like, cerebral fight. I think both of these guys, they have great mental skills when it comes to, great IQ when it comes to, picking their shots and boxing. But right now Terrence, he's the more fresher guy. But at the same time, Terrence has never faced like a Keith Thurman. He's never faced a solid welterweight like a Keith Thurman. So it would kind of be on almost on even playing fields, but I would give Bud the edge in that fight. You know what I mean? I would still give Bud the edge, no doubt. But that's what Keith Thurman needs. He would need to beat Udeni Ugas and beat Terrence Crawford before I would want to see a rematch with Manny Pacquiao, and that's real. Even Errol Spence, he's not even on that road anymore. He doesn't even want to fight Keith Thurman right now. He'd rather fight Danny Garcia. So that tells you a lot about where even other fighters kind of see where Keith Thurman is. It's no disrespect. I mean, he's just feeling comfortable right now. As far as what I've been seeing, like, he's married, he's got a commentating job. He's still got money coming in. So, still got money from that Manny fight. So, at the same time, it's probably hard for him to get fully up the way he used to unify the way he did. I don't see him getting fully up to fight Manny Pacquiao the same way he approached the Sean Porter fight or the Danny Garcia fight. That's just my opinion. But if he can refine that flame and then make his ring return against Udeni Ugas and then maybe, negotiate a Terrence Crawford fight, then we can probably talk Manny Pacquiao again. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this, guys. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think of Keith Thurman. Do you think he'll ever reach his full potential again? Which is a video I might just do in separate, talking about his, coming back status, But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got on this episode. Keeping it short. I actually did a Jab podcast episode last night too. It's a pretty longer episode. That's why I was kind of doing this one a little bit shorter. We were just going in talking about the whole lockdown, and we were talking about this whole situation of, we kind of went a little bit more in depth on Dana White, his Fight Island too as well. So yeah, man, yeah, definitely go to the Jab podcast on jabeffect.com. Look up the Jab podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud, and you can peep that episode. I'm gonna have that up later on tonight. But yeah, I just wanted to do a short episode of Combo Breaker 99 Talks over here, and just kind of fill y'all in, as far as how, this whole UFC 249 just kind of imploded, man. Because like I said, I knew it wasn't going to go down, man. I just knew it wasn't going to go down at this point, man. Because I felt like, Dana White was pushing it too hard, but at the same time, there was nothing was really solid. Like, you kept saying you had a location, you had a card, but it was never like full on like stamp. It still needed that seal of approval, not from Dana White, but from just those other powers that be. And those other powers that be, they said stand down. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this, guys. Like I always say, subscribe here to Combo Breaker 99, to this channel, as well as the Jab Effect. And thanks to my new subscribers as well. But yeah, I'll probably be back next week with a longer episode of Combo Breaker 99 Talks, episode 7. Want to talk some more boxing too as well. So follow me here and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at All Boxing Everything and Combo Breaker 99. I'm out, y'all. Peace.